This is ASBR Boxing, and I'm delighted, as always, to be joined by Elliot Grigg, which means we are in preview mode. This weekend, we are heading to Las Vegas, Nevada, Saturday, the 16th of March, 12 rounds of lightweight action. And we are, of course, talking about Britain's Maxi Hughes, daring to be great, traveling over to the US and facing the undefeated William Zepeda. Zepeda 29-0, and one of the biggest prospects in America, definitely down in the lower weight divisions. But we don't like to get hung up on the tail of the tape now. We like to go straight in with the hard questions, which is why, Elliot, I'm going to ask you: do you believe William Zepeda is a world champion in weight? And is it a matter of time before Zepeda becomes world champion? What are your thoughts?
Oh, well, first off, Paul, thank you for that eloquent introduction and for the gut shot there that you've hit me with. I think tough question because obviously stacked division is it down there in lightweight, and it all depend obviously I suppose on matchmaking. But like you said, he's young enough to maybe outlast some of the other guys. Thinking of obviously Loma down there potentially, and there's some of those guys that are potentially moving on, and also going up to higher weights as well. So potentially with the right matchmaking, yes, but I also look down. I think Shakur Stevenson's down in that weight class. And if he fights him, no. If it comes to a title chance. But I do think he can pick up a belt. Yeah, I really do believe that. We're going to come on, I suppose, and maybe talk about some of the other names in that division and how he potentially fare against those. But I think mostly it's Stevenson is a real problem, potentially someone like Tank. But I think some of the other guys he may be able to have time on his side to move those on. And also if he can get one of those belts which are sitting there vacant as well and get a shot for them.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really disagree with everything you've said there. I think that, for me, I'm actually just going to go out on a limb and say that I do believe William Zepeda is a world champion, and waiting straight off the bat. Again, like you've mentioned, we'll come on to some other of those fighters potentially in that he might have to face in order to win a lightweight world title, the likes of Shakur Stevenson, Lama, or Tank or whoever. But I think that he's still young. He's still only 27. I think he's quite a big lightweight as well. At 5'9". I think he is a problem for a lot of people. He's one of them where if he went into a Shakur Stevenson fight, yes, he'd be the underdog, but it's one of them where if you do you really want to fight William Zepeda, it's low. I'd say it's high risk, low reward right now. But he's a massive puncher as well, 29-0 with 25 stoppages. And I'm going to say, yeah, even if he was to lose to the likes of Shakur, who we've mentioned a few times, or somebody else, I think he's more than capable of coming again and eventually will become world champion. Whether that's in 2024, 2025, even beyond that, in a different weight division, potentially up at super lightweight or whatever. But I do ultimately believe William Zepeda will become world champion at some stage or another. That kind of leads us on to the next point, and the next question I wanted to ask you, Elliot. We've mentioned some names there, the likes of Shakur Stevenson, Vasily Lomachenko, Gervonta Tank Davis. Where do you rank William Zepeda right now? Prior to this Maxi Hughes fight, where do you have Zepeda in your lightweight rankings? Obviously, those three I've mentioned. I'm assuming you probably have him behind them, but then the other was ones like the likes of Frank Martin, Isaac Cruz, and the Japanese fighter Yoshino. Where do you kind of have William Zepeda? Is he in the top 10, verging on top five? Where have you got him?
I mean, Paul, that is dirty. You know, that's a dirty question to ask me. It's hard for me to answer. I'm going to try and take it. I'm trying to take those names in turn. So I think, yeah, look, I do think Shakur Stevenson would beat him. Frankly, I think to be honest, a fight with Loma. I'm not necessarily going to back him against Loma, but obviously Loma's getting older now as well. Like maybe you could catch Loma at the right time. That could be a real breakout victory if he does fight. If he does get that fight, um, I think Tank would beat him, frankly, as well. But what a fight that would be! Wouldn't go 7 rounds. I don't think. Frankly, Frank Martin. I think he'd beat Frank Martin. I also think he'd beat Isaac Cruz, frankly, as well. So for me, I have him kind of sitting behind some of those names you mentioned, like behind Stevenson, behind Tank, possibly behind Loma. But for me, I think, when thinking of those other names like Baranchik, Martin, Cruz, I actually have him above them. So maybe sort of like fourth, top five in the division around number four for me. Like you said, massive puncher as well. Big, tall guy at the weight as well. So I think I'm going to put him there, and I think going to come out with probably an outrageous claim here, but I do think that if he does get Loma at the right time, that could be some really good matchmaking. I'm not saying he would beat him. I'm not saying he's a better boxer than Loma, but I'm just saying Loma's had his injuries. He's getting older, and at some point, someone like Tank or Zepeda or one of those guys is going to look at Loma and go, "I could really break out a victory here," and beat him in that way. So I think maybe that wouldn't be a bad fight to match maybe over the next sort of 12, 18 months, if possible.
So yeah, it's a fight I definitely want to see, mate. 100%. I think, especially if William Zepeda is to win this against Maxi Hughes, which he is expected to do in style, judging by, excuse me, the bookies' odds. But yeah, yeah, I kind of agree with what you've said. I have him top five. William Zepeda. I think those three that you've currently mentioned. It's kind of weird at lightweight. We're saying Devin Haney's no longer fighting there. Obviously, Ryan Garcia is no longer fighting there. They're fighting each other in April up at super lightweight now. Don't see them coming back down to lightweight at all. So yeah, I'd have Shakur up there. Tank again, but you never know what division Tank's going to fight in. He could even fight at super featherweight for my money. Um, I still have Lama ahead of Zepeda as well. I think Lama, Tank, and Shakur are kind of the best three at lightweight. And then there's actually, in my opinion, quite a big gap to fourth and below. And that's where I kind of have Zepeda fourth, fifth, sixth around there. I like to see him. Like I love the Frank Martin fight. That's a great fight to see where they're at. This fight against Maxi Hughes again. You know, a lot of people had Maxi Hughes beating George Kambosos Jr. So this would be a good name. It'd probably be one of the best on his record, apart from Jojo Diaz. Like who really is Zepeda beating at the top level? I think this would be a good win, especially if he was to stop Maxi Hughes, because Maxi Hughes has enjoyed kind of an Indian summer, I suppose, in his career. Say he does win this, then I wouldn't be against should he call out the winner of Kambosos Lomachenko? That's a perfect fight next, which we fully expect to be Lomachenko. But after that, I think Zepeda. I think he's top five for me. I'll say he's top five. But has the potential to potentially be one of the best in the division in the coming years for sure. Don't really have much time for much else, mate, but we always do have time for a quick prediction at the end of these videos, as we like to do every week. So how do you see it going? Saturday, 16th of March in Las Vegas, Nevada, the Chelsea Ballroom. 12 3-minute rounds for the lightweight, 135 pounds. How does the fight play out? What happens in William Zepeda against Maxi Hughes? Tell me.
You know what, Paul? We've talked a little bit about this, but I'm going to come. It might be sacrilegious from a sort of British commentator in the way that we are, but I actually think that Zepeda's going to handle Maxi Hughes here. I really do. I don't see it actually. I know you mentioned Maxi Hughes enjoying an Indian summer. Obviously, pushed Cambosis close, and you look at obviously Kid Galahad before that, so he's had some good wins, but I just can't see him. I can't see him holding him off. Like he's not a big puncher, like you said as well. Like he's had what is it, 5 KOs or something in 20 odd victories. Zepeda, the inverse of that, is a massive puncher. So I'm looking at it going, well, Max Hughes have to go over there and he's going to have to outpoint Zepeda, who is obviously a rising star as well. And he's going to have to probably win. You have to say he's probably have to win 9 rounds convincingly to get a decision out there, maybe more. Um, I just don't see it, mate. I can't. I actually think Zepeda might stop him. I really do. I actually think he might get to Maxi Hughes and stop him, and I think it's going to be mid-round, 6 to 8, somewhere like that for me. I genuinely think this is going to be Zepeda by KO. And I know there's a lot of people in the ESPR don't necessarily have that opinion. I don't know what your opinion is, whether you're going to agree or disagree with me. But yeah, I can't rationally say that I think Maxi Hughes is going to beat William Zepeda here. I think he's going to get stopped.
Yeah, I think this is, again, I really want Maxi Hughes to win, I'm sure we all do, but I think this is a bad matchup stylistically for him as well. I think when you look at the fact that Zepeda is a huge puncher and Maxi Hughes isn't, there's nothing. Obviously, Maxi Hughes is very talented, tricky southpaw as well, but there's nothing that he's going to throw at William Zepeda that will really force him to take a step back and kind of trouble him. I think whatever Maxi Hughes does throw at Zepeda, Zepeda's coming back with 3, 4 times as many shots, with 2 or 3 times the amount of power. I ultimately see a Williams Zepeda stoppage here as well. Unfortunately, I just think that unless Maxi Hughes lands a big shot early, I just think Zepeda is going to have no respect for Maxi Hughes almost. And I think he could go about this and could be destructive and will be aiming to get him out of there, which I expect him to do. Probably agree with you, mate. Maybe go a wee bit earlier, around 5, 6, 7 is where my head's at for this, in favour of William Zepeda. But yeah, hopefully we're both wrong, mate, and Maxi Hughes comes back to the UK with another massive victory. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts on this fight. Is the writing on the wall here for Maxi Hughes, or do you think it could pull off the upset? Where do you think see these both of these fighters ranking at lightweight at the minute? Could William Zepeda go on to dominate at lightweight? Will he be a world champion? Let us know the answers to all of those questions. And we'll speak to you again next week, I'm sure, for more preview action. Elliot, thanks very much for joining me, mate. Guys, thanks for watching, and we'll speak again soon.
Thank you very much, Paul. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.